All right, so we're diving deep into Rich Dad, Poor Dad today.
Okay.
This book, man, it's like really flipped the script for how people think about money.
Yeah.
And we're going to dig into why that is, like why it's been so impactful. Get ready for some serious aha moments. We're going to unpack Robert Kiyosaki's ideas about, building that wealth, achieving that financial freedom.
Well, and I think what's so interesting about it, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, is that it really kind of throws a curveball at all that conventional wisdom we get, especially from school, regular education, all that about money.
Right. It's like, totally. It's like, hey, get good grades, get a secure job, save your pennies.
Yeah.
But then Kiyosaki's like, hold on a sec. He brings in these contrasting philosophies, like Rich Dad versus the Poor Dad.
Yeah.
And man, it shakes things up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, that's at the heart of it. Kiyosaki's Rich Dad is all about getting those assets, the things that put money in your pocket, like, rental properties, your businesses, even stocks that are paying you dividends.
Right.
It's all about making that money work for you, even when you're, sleeping. And then you have the Poor Dad perspective, which, hey, it comes from a good place, but it often overemphasizes that job security and just saving your money.
It's funny because I used to think my car was such an achievement.
Uh-huh.
But then reading Kiyosaki, it was like a light bulb went off. Wait, this is a liability. Every month, insurance, gas, maintenance.
Yeah.
I was on a hamster wheel financially.
Exactly. It's that classic, Kiyosaki comparison, the fancy cars. It is that financial hamster wheel.
Yeah.
And you're working so hard, but you're paying for something that's always losing value. And it's just sucking your resources dry. It's like you're trapped in the rat race.
Totally. So then how do we bust out of that cycle, right? That's the big question. And the book really hammers home this idea of, understanding assets versus liabilities. Can you break that down a bit more, with some real world stuff that people can connect with?
Absolutely. Let's say you're, thinking about buying a house. Now, a house, tricky thing. It can be an asset or it can be a liability. It depends on how you use it.
Yeah.
If you're living in it and it's costing you more than it's making you, well, that's a liability, right?
Right.
But you rent out a part of it. Maybe you even invest in a property specifically to get that rental income. Bam, it's an asset.
Okay, so even something like a house, which, most people think of as an investment, it can totally go either way.
It's all in how you manage it. Or here's another one, something you could do right now, today, super simple. Invest in a low-cost index fund, one that tracks the S&P 500.
Mm-hmm.
It's a way to diversify your investments, spread them out, and you can potentially benefit from how the market grows over time.
That's a good one. And, that ties right into this whole idea of financial education, which Kiyosaki is so passionate about. He's pretty critical of regular education, saying it doesn't give us the money skills we actually need to, thrive.
Yeah.
So what's he really getting at with financial literacy? How's it different from what we learn in school?
So it's not just about balancing your checkbook. It's about really understanding how money works, how you make it grow, how you can create opportunities to build wealth.
Yeah, and how to make it work for you.
Exactly. Think about it. School teaches us to work for money, but Kiyosaki's no, make that money work for you. It's a whole different ballgame.
It really is. And that's where this whole mindset thing comes in, right? Kiyosaki talks a lot about having the right mindset around money. And I know, for me personally, I've struggled with being afraid of risks. How does he suggest we get over that fear and embrace a more, entrepreneurial kind of mindset?
Well, he says we've got to reframe how we see risk. Instead of this scary thing, right? We should see it as a chance to learn, to grow.
So it's more about calculated risks, not just jumping into anything blindly.
Right. And that's where constantly learning comes in. Kiyosaki's big on that, you know? Always seeking out knowledge, finding mentors who've already made it, financially.
Yeah, find those people who've done it. Learn from them.
Yeah, join communities where you can learn from others' experiences, that kind of thing.
That makes sense. And I think that's true. Surrounding yourself with people who are money smart, it really helps you grow. What are some actual steps that our listeners can take today to boost their financial education?
Oh, man, there are so many great resources out there, online and offline. Start with reading. There are tons of books and blogs on personal finance and investing. Look for online courses, workshops, the kind that teach you practical skills. And don't be afraid to start small. Even just following financial news can keep you in the loop about, market trends and stuff.
That's a good point because, even if you're not, like a finance whiz, there are ways to learn and improve.
Yeah.
What about for someone who gets intimidated by, like, financial statements, all that jargon? What's the one thing they should really focus on?
It all boils down to understanding cash flow, really. Imagine, you're looking at your bank statement, right? Money in, money out. Now, picture that, but for a business.
Okay.
You're seeing how much money is coming in, how much is going out, and what's left over. That's your profit or your loss.
So even if all those fancy terms seem overwhelming, it's really just getting that basic idea of the money flowing in and out.
Exactly. And Kiyosaki does a great job of providing frameworks, analogies, things to help break these concepts down so they're not so scary.
I like that. So you've clearly gotten a ton out of this book.
Yeah.
If you had to pick, like, the top 3 lessons you've personally used in your own life, what would they be?
That's a tough one. All right, number 1, start early, even if it's small investments. Compound interest is like magic.
It really is.
Lesson 2, never stop learning and always be ready to adapt. The financial world, it's always changing, got to stay on top of it. And then finally, that mindset shift. Go from being afraid of money to embracing it as a tool to build the life you want.
Those are great takeaways. I love it. So to wrap this all up, Rich Dad, Poor Dad really pushes us to think differently about money, right? It's about building those assets, not just collecting liabilities, and a power of financial education. And like you said, adopting that entrepreneurial mindset.
It's a wake-up call. Take control of your financial future.
And it all starts with taking that first step. So everyone listening, I challenge you.
Yeah.
What's one small action you can take this week based on what we've talked about? Maybe it's setting up a budget, reading an article on investing, maybe finding a mentor. Every big journey starts with a single step.
That's true.
And hey, we'll be back next week, diving deep into more insightful ideas that can transform your life. Until then, happy exploring.
Yeah, see you next week.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for this channel. Also, check the description or the first comment to get your book for free.